You grab your keys, and something shifts in the room. Your dog's ears go up, their eyes lock onto you. They follow every move you make toward that door. And then it starts. The whining, the circling, the jumping, or sometimes something even harder to watch. They just freeze and stare at you like you're leaving forever. You've probably told yourself, this is love, that this is just how much they adore you. But what's actually happening in that moment is not love. It's closer to panic. And the difference between those two things changes everything about how you should respond. Stay with me, because what I'm going to show you in this video is a 30-second routine that works at the level of your dog's nervous system. Not a trick, not a command, a biological reset. And once you understand why it works, you'll never walk out that door the same way again.
1. The chaos you've normalized. Let's be honest about what actually happens when you leave. It starts before you even touch the door handle. The moment you put on your shoes, something changes in your dog. The moment you reach for your bag, their breathing shifts. By the time your hand is on the door, they're already in a state that most owners never fully see, because most owners are already halfway out. And then after you close that door, some dogs bark for 20 minutes straight. Some destroy furniture. Some pace in the same tight circle until their paws are raw. Some just lie by that door and don't move for hours. Most owners call this stubbornness, or separation issues, or just the breed. It's none of those things. What you're watching is a nervous system in crisis, and here's the part that stops most people cold. Your dog reached that crisis point before you even left.
2. This is not what you think it is. Here's what most people believe. Their dog waits by the door because they love them so much, because they can't bear to be apart. And there's truth in that, but it's not the whole picture. And the part that's missing is the part that actually matters. Your dog isn't reacting to your absence. They're reacting to the uncertainty of it. Dogs evolved from wolves, and for a wolf, being separated from the pack didn't just mean being alone. It meant being exposed, vulnerable. It meant that every predator in the area now had a clear shot. Separation from the group, in the language their brain still speaks, is one step away from death. Your dog is not a wolf, but their amygdala, the part of the brain that processes threat and fear, hasn't fully received that memo. So when you move toward that door, an ancient alarm sounds. The pack is splitting. The leader is leaving. The question their nervous system is screaming is not, will I miss them? It's, will they come back at all? That circling, that whining, that frozen stare, that is not neediness. That is a survival response, wearing the costume of a pet.
3. The signals you don't know you're sending. This is the part that surprises people most. And it surprised me too. Your dog doesn't wait until you open the door to start panicking. They start much earlier, because they've memorized you, not your words, your patterns. Studies on dog cognition have shown that dogs build detailed behavioral maps of their owners. They learn the sequence of your departure, the specific order in which things happen before you leave. Alarm goes off, shower runs, kettle boils, shoes go on, keys come off the hook, bag gets picked up, lights go off. Each of those steps is a signal, and the chain of signals tells your dog what's coming before it arrives. By the time you're putting on your jacket, your dog's cortisol, the stress hormone, is already climbing. Research shows that dogs with separation anxiety can reach cortisol levels 3 to 5 times their baseline before the owner has even opened the front door. You haven't left yet. They're already at the peak of their stress response. And then you lean down and say, it's okay, I'll be back soon, in a voice that's slightly rushed because you're running late, and you wonder why it doesn't help. Doesn't help because they're not listening to your words. They're reading your energy, and rushed, guilty energy confirms everything their nervous system was already afraid of. 4. Why everything you've tried hasn't worked. Making a big emotional exit, baby talking them at the door, giving them a long hug, slipping out quietly without saying goodbye, coming back in to check on them. Every single one of these feels caring. Every single one of them makes the problem worse. Here's why. When you make a big emotional exit, you are telling your dog that this moment deserves big emotion. Their brain agrees. It doubles down. When you sneak out, you remove any ritual or signal. Now they can't predict anything. The anxiety doesn't decrease, it becomes unpredictable, which is worse. When you come back in after leaving because you heard them crying, you have just taught them the most powerful lesson of their life. Distress works. The leader came back. Do it louder next time. None of this is your fault. Every single one of these responses comes from love. But love without the right language doesn't land the way you intend it to. What your dog needs isn't more emotion at the door. They need less. They need calm. They need a signal that means something specific. They need a ritual.
5. The 30-second reset. This is what actually works. And it works because it operates at the level of the nervous system, not the level of behavior. 30 seconds before you leave, stop what you're doing. Not dramatically, just stop. Ask your dog calmly and quietly to sit or lie down. No urgency in your voice, no apology in your eyes. Then give them something they only ever get at this exact moment. A specific toy, a specific treat, something that lives in a drawer and comes out only when you're leaving. The brain is a pattern recognition machine. When that object appears, the association your dog builds over time is not they're leaving, it's this thing I love appears. Something good is happening. Then lower your energy, slow your movements. Take a breath you actually mean. Touch them once, calmly, without prolonged eye contact. Not a goodbye, a handoff. And then walk to the door, smoothly, without looking back. No guilt, no performance, no be a good boy, just the quiet, unhurried movement of a leader who always comes back. 6. What's happening in their brain when you do this? Here's the science underneath that ritual. The amygdala, the brain's alarm center, is highly responsive to pattern and prediction. When events are unpredictable and charged with emotion, the alarm stays on. But when events are consistent, calm, and attached to a positive signal, the alarm learns to stand down. Behavioral researchers studying canine anxiety have found that structured departure rituals, consistent, calm, reward-associated, measurably reduce cortisol spikes in dogs over a 2 to 3 week period. Not eliminated, reduced to a level that the dog's nervous system can regulate on its own. What you're building is not just a habit. You're building a new neural pathway, one that says this sequence of calm events means the leader is going out, and the leader always comes back. The door stops being a threat. It becomes a contract. 7. What changes and how fast? Most owners who try this see something shift within the first week. Not a complete transformation, a softening. The frantic energy at the door starts to quiet. The whining becomes shorter. The freeze becomes a sit. By week 2, some dogs begin walking to their bed on their own as their owner puts on their shoes. Not because they were told to, because their nervous system found its footing. By week 3, what used to be a daily crisis becomes something close to routine. The dog still knows you're leaving. They still feel something when the door closes, but the experience of it has changed. It no longer registers as emergency. It registers as normal. And that shift from emergency to normal is one of the most profound things you can give a dog who lives with anxiety. When you come home tonight, watch the moment you walk through the door. If your dog launches at you with everything they have, that's not just excitement, that's relief. That's the exhale of a nervous system that has been holding its breath since you left. They don't need less love. They never did. They need to know, in the only language their nervous system understands, that your leaving is not an ending. 30 seconds before you go, every single day. That's all it takes to change what that door means to them and what it means to you when you come home.